When the gavel fell in the courtroom, it wasn't just the sound of wood on wood. It was the sound of a mother's relentless fight shattering the walls of a corrupt police department. Letitia Harris had never imagined she'd take on an entire system, but when her daughter, Amara, was beaten into a coma by officers sworn to protect, her grief turned into a fire that would burn through lies, cover-ups, and institutional rot. This is the story of a Black woman who refused to let her daughter's pain be silenced, exposing a department's dark secrets and bringing it to its knees. Letitia Harris woke up on a crisp October morning in 2023, expecting nothing more than the usual rhythm of her life in Oak Ridge, a mid-sized city where she'd raised her two children, Amara and Jamal, alone for the better part of a decade. She was a nurse, accustomed to long shifts at the local hospital, where she patched up wounds and soothed fears. Her daughter, Amara, 19, was a sophomore at Oak Ridge Community College, studying to become a social worker. Amara was the kind of young woman who lit up rooms, bright, outspoken, with a laugh that could make strangers smile. She was also fiercely independent, the kind of person who'd stop to help a stranger change a tire or spend hours volunteering at the community center. That night, Amara had been at a friend's apartment, a small gathering to celebrate a classmate's birthday. It was supposed to be a typical Friday: music, laughter, and plans for the weekend. Letitia was at home, catching up on paperwork, when her phone rang at 11:47 p.m. The voice on the other end was frantic, one of Amara's friends, stammering through tears. "Ms. Harris, it's Amara. The police, they took her. Something's wrong. She's hurt. Bad." Letitia's heart dropped. She grabbed her keys and drove to the address her daughter's friend gave her, a quiet street near the college. When she arrived, the scene was chaos: flashing police lights, a small crowd of onlookers, and an ambulance pulling away. She pushed through the crowd, her nurse's instincts kicking in, demanding answers. An officer, a stocky man with a badge reading Sergeant Daniels, blocked her path. "Ma'am, you need to step back," he said, his tone cold, dismissive. Letitia's voice shook as she demanded to know where her daughter was. The officer's response was vague. "She's been taken to the hospital. You'll have to go there." At Oak Ridge General Hospital, Letitia found Amara in the ICU, her face swollen beyond recognition, tubes snaking from her body. The doctor, a woman Letitia had worked with for years, pulled her aside. Amara had suffered severe head trauma, multiple fractures, and internal bleeding. She was in a medically induced coma to give her brain a chance to heal, if it could. The doctor's words were careful, but Letitia caught the subtext. The injuries were consistent with a brutal beating, not an accident. When Letitia pressed for details, the doctor hesitated, then whispered, "The police report says she resisted arrest." "But, Letitia, I've seen a lot of injuries. This doesn't add up." Letitia's world tilted. She sat by Amara's bedside, holding her daughter's limp hand, her mind racing. Resisted arrest? Amara wasn't perfect. She had a sharp tongue and a stubborn streak, but she wasn't violent. She'd been raised to know her rights, to stay calm if ever stopped by police. Letitia's grief was a weight, but beneath it, a spark of anger ignited. She needed answers. The next morning, Letitia went to the Oak Ridge Police Department, a squat brick building downtown. She demanded to see the incident report and the officers involved. The desk sergeant, a woman with tired eyes, told her the report wasn't ready yet. "These things take time," she said, avoiding Letitia's gaze. Letitia wasn't leaving without something. She pressed, her voice steady but firm, until the sergeant handed her a single page, a preliminary report. It claimed Amara had been combative during a routine stop, forcing officers to subdue her. The names of the officers involved were redacted. Letitia's hands shook as she read it. Routine stop? Combative? Her daughter was in a coma, and this was all they could offer? She returned home, the report crumpled in her fist. Jamal, her 16-year-old son, was waiting, his eyes red from crying. "Ma, what happened to her?" he asked. Letitia didn't have an answer, but she promised him she'd find out. That night, she sat at her kitchen table, the report spread out in front of her. She started making calls, first to Amara's friends who'd been at the party, then to anyone who might have seen something. One friend, Tasha, had recorded part of the incident on her phone before an officer ordered her to stop. The video was shaky, but it showed 3 officers surrounding Amara, who was on her knees, hands raised. One officer, a tall man with a crew cut, swung his baton. The video cut off as Tasha was pushed back. Letitia saved the video to her laptop, her stomach churning. This wasn't resistance. This was an attack. She called a lawyer, Karen Mitchell, a friend from church who specialized in civil rights cases. Karen agreed to meet her the next day. When they sat down in Karen's small office, Letitia laid out everything. The video, the vague police report, Amara's condition. Karen's face was grim as she watched the footage. "This is bad, Letitia," she said. "But it's not enough. We need more evidence, witness statements, body cam footage, anything that can contradict their story." Karen filed a formal request for all records related to the incident, including body camera footage and the full police report. The department responded with delays, citing ongoing investigations. Letitia wasn't waiting. She started talking to neighbors, shop owners, anyone who might have seen something that night. A bodega owner 2 blocks from the scene mentioned a security camera that might have caught part of the incident. Letitia begged him to check the footage. He hesitated. Cops were regular customers, but eventually agreed. The grainy video showed a police cruiser pulling Amara over, followed by 3 officers dragging her from her car. She wasn't fighting. She was pleading. Letitia's anger grew, but so did her resolve. She began attending city council meetings, standing up during public comment periods to demand answers. Her voice, steady and clear, carried the weight of a mother's pain. "My daughter is in a coma," she said at one meeting, holding up a photo of Amara smiling at her high school graduation. "She was beaten by your officers. I want their names. I want their badges." The council members shifted uncomfortably, promising to look into it. But nothing changed. Letitia wasn't alone. Amara's friends, classmates, and community members began rallying behind her. A hashtag Justice for Amara, started trending on social media. Protests formed outside the police station, with dozens, then hundreds, holding signs with Amara's face. Letitia spoke at every rally, her voice raw but unwavering. "This isn't just about my daughter," she said. "This is about every Black child in this city who deserves to feel safe." The pressure was mounting, but the police department held firm, releasing a statement claiming the officers had acted within protocol. Letitia knew better. She and Karen kept digging. A breakthrough came when a whistleblower, a young officer named Marcus Reed, contacted Karen anonymously. He'd been on duty that night and was sick of the department's lies. In a recorded call, he revealed that the officers involved, Sergeant Michael Daniels, Officer James Carter, and Officer Ryan Holt, had a history of excessive force complaints, all swept under the rug. Marcus provided internal emails showing the department had coached the officers on their statements to align with the resisting arrest narrative. Letitia felt a flicker of hope, but also fear. Marcus was risking his career, maybe more. She and Karen met him in a parking lot at midnight, his face hidden under a hoodie. He handed over a USB drive with body cam footage the department had claimed was lost. The footage was damning. Amara, compliant and scared, begging the officers to stop as they struck her repeatedly. Daniel's voice was clear. "Teach her a lesson." Letitia watched the footage once, then never again. It was too much, but she knew it was the key to justice. Karen filed a federal lawsuit against the Oak Ridge Police Department, naming Daniels, Carter, and Holt, along with the chief, Robert Langley, for fostering a culture of brutality. The lawsuit alleged excessive force, racial bias, and a pattern of misconduct. Letitia became the face of the case, speaking to local news, then national outlets. Her story spread, and with it, more people came forward. A delivery driver said he'd been beaten by Carter 2 years earlier. A teacher reported Holt had threatened her son during a traffic stop. The department's history of abuse was unraveling. The trial began in June 2024, 8 months after Amara's beating. Letitia sat in the courtroom every day, her eyes fixed on the officers. Daniels smirked during opening statements. Carter stared at the floor. Holt looked nervous. The body cam footage was played for the jury, and gasps filled the room. The defense argued Amara had escalated the situation, but the evidence was overwhelming. Marcus testified, his voice shaking but resolute, exposing the department's cover-up tactics. Other witnesses, Amara's friends, the bodega owner, even a paramedic who treated her, painted a clear picture of unprovoked violence. Letitia took the stand last. She spoke of Amara's dreams, her kindness, her life before that night. She described the hospital visits, the machines keeping her daughter alive, the uncertainty of whether she'd ever wake up. "I trusted the police to protect us," she said, her voice breaking but strong. "They betrayed that trust. They betrayed my daughter." The jury deliberated for 3 days. On June 28, 2024, they returned a verdict, guilty on all counts of excessive force and civil rights violations. Daniels, Carter, and Holt were fired and faced criminal charges. Chief Langley resigned under pressure. The city settled with Letitia for $12 million, but she didn't care about the money. She donated most of it to a fund for victims of police violence, named after Amara. The fallout didn't stop there. The Department of Justice launched an investigation into the Oak Ridge Police Department, uncovering a pattern of racial profiling and excessive force spanning decades. New policies were implemented: mandatory de-escalation training, stricter oversight of officer complaints, and a civilian review board. Letitia pushed for every change, attending every meeting, speaking at every hearing. She became a voice for reform, not just in Oak Ridge but across the state. Amara remained in a coma, but there were signs of hope. In early 2025, she began responding to stimuli, squeezing Letitia's hand during visits. Doctors were cautious, but Letitia clung to every small victory. She visited Amara daily, reading to her, playing her favorite music, telling her about the changes her case had sparked. "You're still fighting, baby," she'd whisper. "And so am I." Letitia's fight didn't end with the trial. She founded a nonprofit, Amara's Light, to advocate for police accountability and support families of victims. She spoke at colleges, community centers, even Capitol Hill, her story a testament to what one woman could do against a broken system. The Oak Ridge Police Department was never the same, restructured, scrutinized, and forced to reckon with its past. Letitia Harris didn't set out to take down a police department. She was a mother, a nurse, a woman who loved her children and her community. But when her daughter was nearly taken from her, she became something more, a force of truth, a beacon for justice. Her story, and Amara's, echoed far beyond Oak Ridge, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, one person's courage can change everything.